My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's a very special episode.
Yes, it's Sunday here.
It is Sunday here.
Sunday night.
And in our Sunday best, as you know, you can't see, and I hope you can't see that.
Oh, I'm totally dressed up.
I've got top hat and tails.
I know. I'm in my diamonds and the family jewels.
The family jewels. So we're not talking Australian Bake Off today, although we might mention it. We're back to British Bake Off, and there's a main reason for this. You know, if you can get anyone on, let's go for someone who got Star Baker more than anyone in the last series.
Hells yeah.
And let's go for somebody who may have been in the grand final of Great British Bake Off.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Wonder who that could be.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey.
How you going?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
We're excellent. We're always excellent. So it's a real pleasure to get to have this conversation.
It's a pleasure for me too, guys.
Oh, that's lovely. So look, we're all being polite.
We're all being polite and nice. It won't last.
Soon someone...
Just fucking wait, right?
It's all over.
Not you again. So is it a bit weird? We spoke to Jan a few weeks ago. Is it a bit weird to have like people from all over the world sort of knowing who you are and sort of messaging?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I don't mind it so much. I mean, we have a huge amount of fans from Korea, Singapore, obviously, because it's an expat nation. Yep. So there are loads of expats over there. So it's not really that weird. I mean, I suppose I have family and friends all over the world. So I guess I find it a little bit weird that they watch it because, as far as I'm concerned, you guys don't have televisions. I mean, this is new to me.
We get the etchings. That's
yes,
great.
It comes
They have one big screen down in Sydney Harbour that all Australians watch.
It hangs under the Harbour Bridge.
You have to book in months ahead.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Great. We'll see. We'll actually see what Nadia's peacock really looks like. And
the bright colours.
Exactly. And when they raved about the crown. We'll see.
Yeah, we didn't get the full definition of the crown because, you know. But one of these days, Stephen, one of these days. No, it was because it must be interesting because one of the things that Ian commented on was she's like, we're all sitting around and suddenly Twitter lights up and we're like, oh, they must be showing it here now.
Yeah, you know, you kind of have to play the game of, oh, okay, well, I've just opened Instagram and Twitter. What's happening? Because like, you get your followers, you get some comments, and you do have to be a little bit of a detective and say, oh, okay, they're showing the final in Australia. Right, that's fine. I now know where all these people are coming from.
What scandals come out?
Yeah, you're like, why am I trending? Well,
there's a little bit of a panic because you think, oh, God, do I Google my name? No. Leave it alone, leave it alone.
Always no.
Unless the police are knocking at your door, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, the answer to do I Google my own name is no.
Yeah, that's the stock response. Do I Google my own name? Just don't, Stephen. Don't do it yourself.
You Googled your own name.
Yeah, don't you Google your own name occasionally?
No, I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. The only time anyone with my name ever contacted me, there's a guy at NASA who had my name, who contacted me and went, I saw your email address when I was looking for an email address for me. We've got the same name. I think that's pretty cool. I work for NASA. And I'm like,
oh, I can't raise that.
I'm a teacher.
I didn't find someone with my name, but I found a Kristie who went to the University of Stanford and was really good at athletics. So.
And speaking, apparently.
Well, she had better enunciation.
A speech therapist, I think that's
she was a major.
So the worst one is Googling your own name and allowing the Google search engine to say, oh, just if you're looking for Stephen Carter Bailey, this is what other people have looked for. And I think, nudes? Nudes? Are you joking? That's the first thing you Googled when you Googled my name is nudes?
Nude, hot, is married.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so shallow. But if you want me to answer it, I'm more than happy to.
Wonderful Baker. It's
no.
Nude.
No. It's nudes.
If things start slowing down, and you need some quick money, you could go to picture magazine. Because there's an audience.
I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, there's all options are open. Everything's on the table, and nothing is out of bounds as far as I'm concerned.
It's all there. It's all there for you.
Mum, Dad, it was a desperate time. I had to.
Look.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think one of the most popular things I ever said on the Bake Off was in Italian Week, and it was, if we have to do the Naked Bake Off, I'm all up for it. And yes. Twitter went bang.
And that's where the searching began.
Oh, that's
yes.
thing we do in the Bake Off Ashes is a nude bake.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we're trying to get together a Bake Off Ashes between the Australian and the British Bake Off contestants, because we're like, why hasn't this happened yet?
The more I think about it, the more I think that's a genius idea.
So we're trying.
It's on the Commonwealth Bake Off. I think
it would be awesome. Well, I mean, you got the Canadians because they've got the Great Canadian Baking Show.
Yes,
call it Bake Off, damn it!
And if you have Singapore involved, like I know technically the lease was up, but get them involved.
Hong Kong was up.
You have to do it this year, guys.
the lease, they ran out of the lease, but they've still got the keys to the door.
Get India involved, like that'd be great.
They've still got the keys to the door. It's great.
Exactly.
So back to actually, that show thing you were on. We go on tangents. It's great. So the process of applying for something like the Great British Bake Off, which seems to me to be like a daunting prospect, how was that?
So it's been running here since I think it's about 2010.
Yeah.
And I applied in the second series and I think it was the second and the third and fourth. I can't remember exactly, but I didn't get very far. I think 1 year I got a phone call, and that was it. I didn't get anything else. So
to say, please stop applying. You've had 3 or 4 go, Stephen.
Stop sending us your nudes.
Yeah, that's unlucky. It was. So this was my third time, and I think by the time I got round to doing it again after the second time, it had grown in such popularity. I thought, well, this is never going to happen. So just let it go, Stephen. Let it go. And I just sort of allowed it to happen. I was a little bit bitter, and I just used to watch it every year, thinking, God, that could be me. That's not a Savoyon, you stupid woman. Screaming at the screen.
Week 1, not make a sponge and going, I could have done that.
Yeah. Victoria Sponge, are you kidding me?
Yes.
So, yeah.
I yelled at the podcast once, but anyway.
Well, there was a little bit of bitterness, and I thought, do you know what, let it go. It's not worth it. But this last series came around, and obviously the judging panel switched, or half of it switched, and the presenters changed, and then the channel changed, and I just thought, you know what, maybe this is my chance. Maybe there's been such a change, that I'll have a chance. So I started. Well, I started writing. Well, no, actually, I made a cake for a charity thing at work, and a colleague of mine was parading it around the office and selling slices of it for the charity. And little did I know, she was telling people this has been made by Stephen. Stephen's going to apply for the Great British Bake Off. And I didn't know this until maybe 3 or 4 of my colleagues came up and said, good luck with your application. Yeah, I really hope you get on. I thought, sorry, what? And I said, Ali, what have you done? I can't believe you said that. But I kind of got the impression. I thought, oh, for fuck's sake! Right, now I'm going to have to apply.
Now I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did it. I sort of filled in the application, and it is really long. I mean, I think it's justified. People have been messaging me this year saying, "Oh, I can't fill in the application. There's so much in there." I think no, but they want a story from you. They really want to know about you. So you have to tell a story, and it's page after page after page. And I sort of went through it. I started in October, and it was an online portal, and I sort of filled in little bits every now and then. And it got to Christmas, and obviously everything stopped at Christmas. And I had gone to Sweden just after Christmas on holiday, and I just started moaning about it, and I was drunk in Stockholm. Sounds like a movie, doesn't it?
Drunk in Stockholm.
Yeah.
It's a Bergman. It's black and white.
Yeah. I'm on a chest with a cigarette extender.
Yeah. Biopic. Drunk in
Stockholm. Yeah. And I just thought, and I thought, screw it, I'm just going to finish it. So, and little does anybody know, I was actually in the bath when I clicked send.
And you're wondering why people looked up your name and nude.
Yeah. You wait for the Google search now. It's StephenDrunkenTheBath.com.
Bath.
Yeah. But now I'm actually your application kind of like Homer's drunken postcard to Marge.
Word.
You got a butt that won't quit.
I've got a cake that'll knock your socks off.
Yeah. I did what? Do you know what? And I what do they say? The drunken mind speaks a sober heart. And I really think that Swedish beer really did bring out the real me. It's not the first time I've said that either. I filled in the application. I sent it in, and a week late, I flew back home. A week later, I got this phone call, and so over here, British people are plagued with phone calls from companies trying to sell you insurance and car accident. And I picked up the phone and went, "What?" I went, "Oh, hi, this is so-and-so calling from the Great British Bake Off." I went, "Oh, hi. Sorry."
Lovely to talk.
Yes. And that's when it started. And that was a year ago at the beginning of January. And it just sort of, it snowballed from there. And because I'd had a phone call before, I thought, well, do you know what? Don't get your hopes up, Stephen. And then I got a second phone call, and then a third. And then you get invited in to meet the people, and they want you to bake for them. And it carried on, and I desperately tried to ignore this kind of elephant in the room, and I just keep going, Stephen, keep going, don't get your hopes up. And before I knew it, it was 3 months later, and I got the phone call. On the other end, yeah. It was very real, and I it sounds really awful, and I hope to God that they're not listening. But after going through what we went through, because it's a really long process, and it has to be because the production company that run the Bake Off are very protective of us. They do really make sure that we're okay, because obviously not everybody goes on television, so they put us through a lot of testing and questions, and they really wanted to make sure that we'd be okay. So when I finally got the phone call, she went, "Oh, hi, Stephen. Just to let you know, you're one of the 12 contestants on This Is Great British Bake Off." And my reaction was, "Yay!"
Now, just remember, you can't tell anybody what you're doing. So,
oh, that's the worst bit. That's you think the application process is bad. You try being silent for 10 months. It is not in my nature. I heard some gossip yesterday, and I held on to it for 42 minutes.
Well done.
So that's the kind of person I am.
Because we've had, because with the Australian ones, we were talking to a couple of last season's Australian contestants, and they were saying that things like, one of them lives over in Perth and had to fly over to Sydney where they film. And she's like, "I have to fly over to Sydney." And I was like, "Oh, where are you going?" She's like, "Nowhere." Can't tell you why I'm going to Sydney. I'll be back in a few weeks. Why? No reason. Just feel like I need to fly over to Sydney.
She's a big fan of the Opera House.
A big fan of the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. And this series...
You're going to watch the TV, the Australian TV.
Yeah, the one TV. And in this series of Australian Bake Off,
they delayed it.
Probably, we think, because they wanted to show your series first. But they filmed their finale, I think it was about June, July, and it's only started showing in January.
Yeah.
So they've had to hold on to the secret of being on the show. They filmed the lot of it and sat there for 6 months.
I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm the world's worst liar.
A year-long secret. It'd kill me. I couldn't do that.
I am the world's worst liar, and I had to lie, barefaced lie to a lot of my family and friends. I missed my best friend's wedding. I just couldn't go.
What did you tell them? I hate you.
I kind of had to be quite ruthless with her. And in fact, I spoke to the production company. I said, she will kill me. She'll actually kill me. So they had to make her sign a non-disclosure agreement to say, look, he's going to tell you something, but you have to keep your mouth shut. So in the end, I got to tell her, because she just wasn't going to buy it. But my sister-in-law and I get the train to London every day to work. And I suddenly stopped because I was taking time off work. I eventually left my job. And I just used to say, "Oh, Paul, it's just that cake time of year again. Like, everybody really wants a cake." Because I make custom-made cakes for my friends. And I said, "Oh, she's really busy." I said, "I've got loads of wedding cakes coming up." And she would say, "Show me a picture." And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, maybe. And she was relentless. She went, "Show me a picture. I want to see pictures." So I had to Google image.
I was about to say, Google image your friend.
Yeah, screenshot these pictures and say, look what I made, in the vain hope that she never Googled wedding cakes.
Didn't Google image search it herself again.
She got to start reverse image searching the image. Website. So you finally got in there, and you're on fire in the first couple of weeks in particular. How does it feel when you get in there and then suddenly back-to-back star bakers?
Well,
I mean, the bar too high at all.
Well, I remember getting in there, and we so the first episode that you see, which was the fruity cake and the Swiss rolls, we had met. The 12 of us had met the previous day for the very first time. We had no idea who each other was. So for the very first time, we'd met 24 hours before. So you don't know your fellow contestants other than their names, which it took me 10 weeks to remember them. I'm still struggling. But you don't know their strengths, their weaknesses, and I suppose we were all quite guarded. We knew what we were making, and we would sort of try to describe it, but you don't know what you're up against. So I didn't really understand what was going on until the end of the first weekend, and I thought, oh my god, I achieved everything I wanted. I said I wanted to get through week one. These are my goals in week one. I wanted to get through week one. I wanted a handshake, and I wanted to get Star Baker. Sorry, in the whole series. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I hit all three in the first episode, and I thought, well, I'm done now.
Do you wish you could go to the other judging panel from the previous seasons with a bit of a Julia Roberts moment? Pretty woman, like
huge.
I know, no, not at all.
No, you're
you
like,
guys work on commission.
Hollywood handshake. Sorted.
Oh yeah, the Hollywood. Well, I because I wasn't expecting it. He's quite a sturdy guy.
Yeah.
And when you respect a person for their handshake, it's good and solid. Well, Paul sort of thrust his hand forward, and my immediate reaction was to flinch. I thought he was going to hit me. I don't know why. I don't know why he was going to hit me, but they edited out the flinch because I sort of recoiled, thinking, "Oh, all right, okay. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just say."
This bonfire night cake, punch in the face.
Yeah.
I hate bonfire nights.
No, this sounds like Aussie Paul Hollywood. It's so good, I just want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. But I took the handshake and I thought, oh my god, wow. I mean, that is a solid handshake. I mean,
we all applauded at home when we watched it.
Yeah,
it was just us two.
We come back to episode 2, and it's like, what? Well, Stephen has retired from the Bake Off shed. With nothing else to achieve.
He is now living a life as a recluse in amongst.
He's walking around the streets now with one of those sort of sandwich boards on him saying, "I got a Hollywood handshake. Ask me how."
Yeah. I'll show you what I did. And actually, that cake, the cake I made in Spain. I'd gone on holiday and I had to go to the Spanish supermarket, and I was Google translating everything like flour, farina, and raising agents, and obviously I managed to find apples just about. Trial and error pulled me through that one. But I developed this cake in Spain, and then I was making it in the tent. I thought, oh no, I've only made this in 30-degree heat, and it's now. I mean, we were mid-April, which in the UK can either be like summer or winter. There's no in between. It was freezing. The butter was solid. We were all microwaving butter because it was just so solid it wouldn't blend with the sugar. And I had this massive freak out that it wasn't going to work. So I kind of winged it a little bit on that first week. I'm sorry, that's going to annoy everybody. Like, not only did he get it, but he just winged it.
You know what? I just made it up as I went along.
Yeah. I was going to do pear cake, and I just thought, I said it, I'll do apples.
How many times did you practice that? And like, well, what? Practice what?
Once.
Yeah.
You know what? I think
that came out of nowhere.
I think I practiced it in Spain. It may have just been sangria. I don't know.
Again, drunk in Spain.
It's the follow-up to Drunk in Stockholm. Oh my God, TV series for you.
We've got the 3 colours series, red, blue. No, we've got your one, which is Drunk in. Insert.
Yeah, drunk. Insert various countries here. Yeah. And watch me. I'm still convinced drunk baking or drunk cooking is the next big TV show.
I mean, baking 100%.
Like Drunk History.
Yeah.
But
completely.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have a glass of wine when we're cooking dinner, and I think it makes us a little bit more creative and relaxed. I think you were onto something here. I'm pitching it, but no one's buying it.
Well, I'm all for that. I had an idea for eventually
Kickstarter for drunk.
Well, I had an idea which I'm hoping to still do at some point this year with the washing up, which will involve YouTube, and basically getting a couple of bakers together, and everyone just pitches in with a glass of wine and makes something random. So that's along the lines of the drunk baking. So, you know,
Yeah.
if maybe somebody has a wedding in this half of the world, maybe we can make that happen. Anyway, I know your schedule. Anyway, so there were a couple of really cool sort of bakes early on. I liked the illusion cake idea. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, that was. I didn't freak out at that one because I love making illusion cakes. I have 10 nieces and nephews, all of whom at 10 times across the year require a cake for a birthday. So I'm used to making like SpongeBob SquarePants out of fondant or a football. So when I got that idea, I just thought, yeah, this'll work. So I had gone through my repertoire of cakes. And I thought, I can make a handbag, or I could make the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And it was actually in a dream. Well, I was just sort of nodding off to sleep not long after I got the brief, and I had this vision in my head of making a loaf of bread. And I thought, that's it. I've got to do it. I've got to make a loaf of bread with a sandwich. And that I literally dreamed it up. I wasn't drunk. I don't think.
You weren't drunk this time. It was just a dream.
You were just channeling the baking muses.
You seem to do a lot of your best sort of creative work when not remotely on the normal plane. You're either drunk or asleep.
He's a baking shaman.
Yeah, well,
baking shaman.
Yeah, a lot of my best decisions have come about when I'm not aware of what I'm doing. I mean, obviously, I don't adopt that policy when I'm driving. So just or operating heavy machinery, I'm very focused on what I'm doing. You know, when the food mix is going, I'm watching it like a hawk. But no, I think as soon as I sort of zone out and remove all of the clouds around it, that's when the inspiration comes to me.
It's perfect. It's a meditative state. I mean, because I'm training to be a meditation teacher at the moment, and they're cool things you can get into your brain or out of your brain in different states.
Apparently, what we've learned is baking.
So, baking ideas.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, first of all, in Bread Week. Now, you had one of the best names because we're big on puns.
Oh yeah.
So the bag I need bread sculpture.
Yep.
that was fun. We liked that one, but you were a bit overshadowed.
Mm.
I know what's coming.
Yeah, don't we all?
I wonder if it did.
All right.
It was stuffed with goat's cheese, so I'll leave that with you.
The snail, discuss.
Bit of creme fraiche on top.
What? How? I mean, surely people were looking as that was being made and going, that looks a lot like, because like from at home watching it being made, we were going,
that's a penis.
That's a penis. That's definitely a penis.
It was a penis, and Julia, I mean, she can play the innocent girl, but she knew what she was doing.
Hey,
no, it was. I think she's a very dedicated baker, and she's so focused and she's so incredibly talented. And I just feel, like a lot of us, you just get so wrapped up in this idea of something that you don't see the innuendo that you've created. Now, I was at the front of the tent, so obviously we're lined back, and I was at the very front. You're looking at us on the right. So I watched as she approached, and I looked at her and I thought, oh my God, it looks like a massive penis. Just don't say anything. And
it was?
Paul...
Yes, and the Paul reaction made it.
So you guys, and anybody that saw the series, you saw nothing in comparison to what they edited out. I mean, he just couldn't control himself. And of course,
the highlights.
Crying and choking and having to leave the tent was one of them. But we're trying to be serious. I mean, we have a huge production team and cameras all around us. And they're going, guys, can you just chill out, please, relax? And we're going, yeah, but there's a penis made out of bread on the table.
Yeah, can you look at it? Just have a look for a minute, guys. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
You want us to control ourselves? Look at that and tell us you're not laughing.
And then Paul had to cut it up, and of course, then
yes, and I believe
the goat start.
That bit.
Someone yelled out,
"Chaim!"
Yeah, Mazel tov.
It was less of a judging and more of a bris.
Yeah, well, it was, and I mean, I don't. Well, you don't see a lot of his face because they just had to film him crying. He had tears pouring down his face. Of course, Prue. I don't know if you know, she's a a very, very highly acclaimed author.
Yes.
Very, very, lots and lots of books. And some of them do talk about sex. Let's just call it sex.
So sex, shall we?
even Prue was just by the end, she went, "Oh, pull yourself together. I don't see what it is you're laughing at." Of course, that just made it 10 times worse.
That would have made it worse.
He's a child at heart, you know. He's a boy, you know. We all are. There was a penis made out of bread. I mean, I thought I smashed it with a handbag, but no, Julia went straight in with a cock and balls.
And what was brilliant?
Chuck's an awesome handbag. Penis.
And what was brilliant about it, as I said, when she got star makeup. The penis got a star makeup. It's like, that's a genius move. She's a bit.
I know. Well, the thing is, I thought I didn't get star baker because I screwed up my tea cakes, but no, she got star baker because she basically made genitals.
Made a penis.
Did that make her a bit cocky afterwards?
Oh, that was so bad. It's good.
She's here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Try the veal. Now, there were a few interesting. So, Caramel Week was intriguing. One of the reasons was we got to say the word stroopwafel a lot, and
stroopwafel.
And I prefer saying stroopwafel because that was the one week, as we said, they sent Sandy to all of these locations to do the history of this bake, and the one week they sent Noel was the one was in Amsterdam.
Well, I think if you check his passport, that stamp might already be there.
Yeah, it was a frequent flyer. But I love the fact that it was not even like hidden, like they didn't send him somewhere else later on. It was Sandy did all of the other weeks when they went and looked at the history of bakes, and he did the 1 week where they went to Holland.
Well, he was probably already there. I went, look, guys, I'll just do it while I'm
I'm over here. I'm over here.
I don't even think it was planned. I think he was just there with his iPhone.
He was just there. And they're like, quick, just hold the phone. What? Just hold the phone. Stroopwafel. And they went, okay, are we going to do that as a challenge now? Looks like it. And I was like, quick, I can claim it on tax if we film something.
Yeah, can't claim everything on tax on that weekend, no.
Has anybody got a Dutch bake we can use? Stroop, great. Do that one. That works well. Angry Panthers. Anyway. So, and that was the week that Australia via Twitter yelled at the United Kingdom because of the millionaire shortbread.
Yeah.
Because they're slightly different, but they're making millionaire shortbread, and everyone in Australia is going, that's a caramel slice.
Yeah. And it's not just you guys, it's across the world.
Yeah.
I think, like the word bake off, everybody has their own interpretation of what it is. So we call it millionaire shortbread.
Yeah. But it was
because that's what it is. And everyone else is wrong, okay?
Of everything out of
who invented the language? That's what you're doing.
Who colonised?
We don't call it Australian, we call it English.
Yes. Who colonised? That would be them. So yeah, but it was really weird because it was like of all the weeks for like the Australian Bake Off Twitter to go nuts. It was that, and it was everyone going, it's caramel slice. Why are we calling it millionaire short? There are slight differences, but
it's just the biscuit base. Because you guys use actual shortbread where we just crush up whatever the
the one is of the day and mix it with butter. Yeah. It's like, what's the biscuit around? Yep, crush that up, put some butter in it, we're sweet.
Yeah. You guys take the relaxed approach, which what I found is the more relaxed you are, the better it is. So I'll go with you guys. I like that. I like that sort of. That would be like a caramel not cheesecake, but it's like a cheesecake base. Is that right?
Yeah, like basically, it's a cheesecake base on that. That was because that week it then inspired me because I talked about it on the podcast, so I then actually had to go out and make a caramel slice. Because I
think it's just a win-win for me. Really.
It was a win-win for you because you got my caramel slice. So, that was perfect. And that was the week where the caramel crown cake, which looked spectacular, but it was one of a couple where the feedback you got was, that looks really good. And then they cut it up and went, Not quite. Did you had that run where you had a couple of them where you had ones that looked absolutely spectacular. They cut them open and went, didn't quite work.
Yeah. Well, they sort of coined the phrase style over substance. And I in the end, I just thought, you know what, forget it. I will do one thing or the other. I cannot do both things. Hands, not magic wands.
We had that discussion this week on the Australian Bake Off where the baker who went home, Emma, they made the chicken and leek pie they had to make, and she was weighing up whether she made it look really good or there was a problem with the filling and she might possibly poison the judges. And our comment was,
Poison the judges.
Make it look really good. They won't know it's yours in terms of the poisoning because they're eating everyone's chicken and leg.
You can't narrow down where that's going to come from. So just go for it. Make it look good.
Yeah, go with it. It looks great because that'll
count. Like the Russian roulette of baking. You want to take that risk with 12 people? Go for it.
I'll tell you what, though. In terms of making something look good but tasting like shit, like literally, my mum told us when she was younger to get some revenge on girls at school. Her and her sisters went out and grabbed some rabbit poop from the from the garden.
That's smart because as far as I know, and I've Googled this, and I'll never explain why, rabbit poo doesn't actually taste of anything.
No, but they rolled it in icing sugar and made it off to be lollies to the girls that they didn't like at school.
You know what? The flavour probably would have beaten carob.
Yeah. I was going to say that there's some products in the market right now that still fall far below that, and I'm talking Food Standards Agency as well here. You know,
yeah, exactly.
I think rabbit poo probably far outweigh them in that area.
Probably more nutritional, but for you as well. You know, a bit of roughage in there.
A bit of roughage.
It's all just grass, isn't it?
Well, that's the old thing about and you know, the QI factor. If you ate nothing but rabbit, you know, you wouldn't survive because there's no nutrients. Rabbit's got no nutrients. It's got to have things added to it to give you some nutrients.
Really?
Yep. It's a very nothing meat.
That's why you got to put wine with it.
That's where wine goes with everything. So that's the important.
I amen to that, by the way.
What was your favourite thing that you made? I know that's a stock standard question, but and it doesn't have to be something that came out the best. Just from the fun of making it or the interest in making it.
Well, I think, and people are quite surprised because they naturally assume I'll say, you know, chest set out a biscuit or, you know, something insane. But one of the best things I baked was the sfogliatella in Italian week.
Yeah.
Because for the very first time as a showstopper, I mean, obviously we had a brief to achieve what looked like a lobster tail, and you can do this sfogliatella and you can look at it and go, okay, that's what it is. But it wasn't. It became less about making it look spectacular. The brief just said make it look like sfogliatella. I was like, okay, well, there's a glass ceiling here. I can't go any further than that. So I then put all of my effort into perfecting this bastarding thing that almost killed me because.
Do you still dream about it?
I do, and even I spoke to Liam the other day, and he said, "Steve, please, will you make me sfogliatella?" No, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I will never play that symphony again. I'm sorry.
It's done.
It's kind of so for me. It became a battle of abilities because if you listen to what Paul and I spoke about on the camera, you know, he said people don't make this. I said people don't make this. Italian pastry chefs, they don't make it. They will sell it in their shops, but they buy them in because it's so fucking difficult to make. It takes 4 days. It takes 4 solid days. And if you watch, if you can YouTube a video, and it's sort of 3 or 4 Italian pastry chefs rolling this stuff out, you know, meter after meter of the stuff, and spreading it with lard, and in a nice air-conditioned kitchen. So I then became fixated on getting this perfection, and I must have made hundreds of these things. And they you know, when you're practicing, it's easy to practice a Victoria sponge because you can whip one up in 20 minutes and it's cooling within 25. But you can't, to practice something that takes 4.5 hours each time really takes up a lot of time. So by the time I got to the tent, I mean, I literally did my last practice run the night before I drove down to the tent, and I was pleased with what it turned out, and I tweaked something in the recipe the night before. And I just went for it. And, you know, the edit removes a lot of what they said. But even Paul said he had done the same thing in Naples, you know, in 48 hours. And I said, is mine better than yours? And he nodded. So he nodded. I mean, the steely blue eyes cut through me and removed a piece of my soul as he said it, but he nodded.
Yes. We often think that Paul is capable of causing what's that?
Well, as we said, when he asks you a question, we don't think so much he's trying to get an answer about that bake. He's making you question your very existence. There's an existential crisis going on.
That's the word.
And you go from, you know, should I have put, you know, a bit more sugar into that too? Am I a human? Why am I here? What am I doing? Am I at the Am I in Bake Off? Am I Steve?
Oh, he can make you question your own existence on this planet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like your mother. He asks you a question not because he wants you to answer it. He knows what the answer is. He just wants to know whether you are going to tell the truth or not. And it's that moment of gut churning fear as you go, I can't lie to him. He knows. He already knows the answer.
And on the Sfogliatelli, we sort of mentioned to you before, but we spoke to that week we had Monica from the finalist from last series of Great Australian Bake Off, and that was and they said on the broadcast, they said that, you know, why isn't that the technical? And Paul said you can't really do that as a technical in that time. The Great Australian Bake Off for their grand final did Sfogliatelli as their technical in the grand final, and Monica was we're talking about it, and we're like, you made it again? She goes, no, hog fat. I can't. She goes, I can't be near it. So she had the same reaction. You're like, I'm never doing that again. Monica's an Italian baker who makes amazing cakes.
Who luckily lives in a place where there's a good Italian bakery, so she could just go buy it.
But she's just like, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm not. No, you can't make me. And interestingly enough,
for the very first time, actually, it was just the other day. I was in London. I went to a cafe with a friend of mine for lunch, and I walked in, and there's a glass sort of screen, and you can have Italian style salads, and I said, oh look, there's cannoli, and I looked to my left and went, there's sfogliatella. We can't eat here. We have to go. And he's like, but we can't be here. I have to leave.
Do you have a therapist, like supplied by the
It's called Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, so we don't really ring him.
You fix yourself.
I like
you do have to fix yourself.
I like to think it's a cross between all the judges and hosts. They just do a rotation. Someone's got the on-call phone.
Yeah, so it's like 4 o'clock in the morning when you're feeling a bit low and you ring and Paul picks up and you go, do you know what? I'm fine. Night, sweet dreams.
So Sfogliatelli was your favourite. What's the least favourite thing you did in there in terms of had to make? It didn't have to be a failure, just something you went either meh or it didn't work or one of those.
I think the entremet, the very final, the final showstopper, because it's just not me. It wasn't me. It's not. I don't bake like that. That's there was very little for me. There was very little baking involved in that one. It was a lot of elements.
Look at that though. That thing looked amazing.
I mean, the design for me was I loved it because I had sort of taken on a lot. I was spray flocking one half. I was doing a mirror glaze and the other, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing that bit. But it was the middle. I just it's not who I am, you know. Yeah. And I don't bake to achieve, you know, symmetrical perfection. I just think, you know, if you cut it open, you don't like what it looks like, screw it. It probably tastes good.
I thought it was an interesting showstopper for the grand final because I mean they've done the Queen's picnic thing they did GBBO, and you know in Australia last season they did the triple decker cake. Said to make a triple decker cake with the different flavorings and iced and so they've done all those sorts of bits and pieces. I thought the entremet was a really interesting decision.
It was fascinating when we got the briefs through, and I sort of said entremet, and I because for me an entremet is tiny, the little mousse bouches that were served in the middle of lunches. So when they said a large entremet, I thought, okay, well this is something I've never really come across before. You can Google it and get all sorts of results back, but when you're actually sort of put in the position to make one, it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult because it's not just about making good food. It's good flavors. They're good flavors which set on time, and you know when you cut them, they look perfect. I mean, I have got images of the ones I made at home. I will send them to you. They are amazing. But in the tent, again, it wasn't a particularly hot day, but you can misjudge a bake, the timing of a bake by 10 minutes, and when you get into that tent, that 10 minutes becomes an hour.
Yeah.
And I literally lost an hour of my time. And, you know, when you're relying on this thing to set in a fridge or a freezer, and you've lost an hour of time, there was that moment where I just went, oh, dear God, I'm going to serve them soup. They're just going to get chocolate banana soup.
There's a beautiful term that our beloved Australia's Maggie Beer, who's one of the judges on Great Australian Bake Off, has introduced this season, and it's not quite met its full potential. And that's what I really saw in your entremet, is that, you know, I could see it almost, like I could see what you'd intended, and the time just killed you.
I just love the mirror glaze. I was talking about. I just want the mirror glaze. That mirror glaze is awesome.
That was my life.
So that was perfect. Because
I still love. I mean, I will go to sleep watching videos on Facebook of mirror glazing cakes. It's quite therapeutic. It's like the next lava lamp, isn't it?
It is soothing. It's very soothing. Because so the Australian finale, they did opera cake, then they did the sfogliatelli, and they had to make candied orange and ricotta ones. They didn't get a choice. They had to make one. And then the dessert masterpiece, we said, which was the layered whatever you wanted to make for their grand final. I was also interested by the fact you had to make a small loaf, but then I remembered Paul Hollywood. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So it was an interesting experience. Obviously, the final, the pressure of that final, that would be quite the experience. And the other weird part, and we've spoken to some of the Australian bakers have sort of commented, when you hit the grand final, it's just three of you. It feels a bit weird.
Does it echo?
No, but if you say that, I mean, it doesn't echo, but it's so silent. It's creepy, and naturally that even at the end, we were not competitors with one another.
Yeah.
Obviously, you saw that Sophie and I had this competition going on together, and I hadn't got to know Kate, just because, I mean, I got to know a couple of people, but I didn't get to know Kate until towards the very end, because we were paired. If you're not paired on a bench or, within shouting distance, you don't get to know these people very well. And towards the very end, Kate and I had sort of formed this bond. So the three of us clung to one another, like, desperately, because we were all we had. And we walked into that tent on final week, and it was so empty. I mean, you can see that they remove benches week after week after week as the bakers go down.
Yeah.
But it was really creepy, and obviously there were less cameras, there were less production crew, less producers, less soundmen, and you just felt I just had so much space around me, and it just felt really lonely. And it's the silence. There is silence in there, because when you're baking, you don't talk. We're not allowed to talk to one another, so it was very creepy and very eerie. But at the very end, we the three of us hugged, and we knew that we had one another there. And I suppose that's sort of what got me through it, was Sophie and Kate.
Oh, I couldn't imagine not talking to other people while you're baking. That would do my head in.
That would be weird. It's one of those things where it's one of the reasons why Bake Off's, I think, so popular worldwide, and really definitely we know for a fact in Australia. It's that friendly nature of it. It's not like the other shows on TV where it's the cooking competitions, because people don't tend to see it as the competition, and
they're waiting for people to fuck up to create drama.
Whereas in Bake Off, it's everyone helps everybody, and
and see people try to do their best.
Yeah, and it's all about it. Just always seems to be about everyone produces their best, and whoever stays, and whoever goes.
Yeah, and I think that's why people like it, is because there is that friendly element to it. I mean, you cannot not be friends with these people. They are they're all that you've got. They are your equivalents. They're your peers, because you're all literally in the same boat, or tent in this case. So you do form really strong bonds with these people. And the hardest thing, harder than, so when at the end of the week you get this sort of high because someone gets Star Baker, then you get this low because someone disappears. And they joked, they do take them outside and shoot them in the field. I hate to say this.
Well, it's how they get the garden's so lush there, isn't it?
The garden's so lush through all that.
Yeah, we are compost, so you fight for that fun. But no, it's. I think it's coming back the next week, and we all stayed together in the same hotel. And when we first started, I remember we had this huge dining room with a huge table. And, it was quite palatial, but by the very end, we were literally just around a table for three people.
You got the little bar table in the corner.
And you'd have this. Yeah, it was quite sad. I mean, it wasn't like that joke, huge palatial table with one person at either end. They literally reduced the table size as we got down. But it was that coming back week after week and not seeing your friend there.
Did that also mean that you're getting more and more distractions from Neil and Sandy? Noel and Sandy, sorry, I go Neil.
Neil.
Noel and Sandy, just,
I think they were very good. I think they were aware that, obviously, I mean, they're briefed. Don't piss them off, don't poke them. They're busy, but they have a job to do. I mean, and as the weeks went on, it became more difficult because they start with 12, they end with 3, and they still have to fill an hour and 15 minutes. So the questioning became more intense, and there's a huge element of chop and chat, and having to provide that content for the production team. I mean, they're very good. The production team are great because they don't hassle you too much. They could see when they could see when there was a point where you could talk and when you couldn't talk. And I'm very good because they could spot me a mile off because I just would react. I would literally be like,
Oh my God.
So
I'm not going to give you a response.
Because we put out the other day for Australian Bake Off, we put out a drinking game. We put out cards on the Twitter, 3 different cards, and the funny part was, with all we put down on the cards, if you'd actually been playing along with the game, you would have been drunk by halfway through the technical. But one of the things we put on there was that the 2 hosts distract somebody in the middle of a moment when they can't be distracted. And it's a Bake Off staple. It's the can you focus while they stand there and try to get the content out of you. And I think imagine what it's like to look fielding. You
have to look at it like I mean, I'm quite sort of au fait with baking with people around me because I work in my kitchen, and if it isn't a partner or a family member coming in and bothering me, you just learn to get on with what you're doing. You slap the hand away, you tell them to leave, or you just crack on with what you're doing.
Don't lick the wheel while I'm using it.
Although I had this this image of when you were practicing the sfogliatelle, everyone running away from the kitchen because if they came near it, you'd just be shoving sfogliatelle down their face, going, "Does it taste good?"
Yeah. People in my family don't like Italian pastry anymore, which is when you're raised on it, it's really sad. But interestingly, Noel is Sandy was great because she's a little pocket-sized princess, but she kind of tucks into corners, so she was okay to have, and she could see. But Noel, bless him, is very tall. He's I think he's well over 6 foot. Yeah, and he's a little bit of a klutz. There were some broken items and things dropped on the floor. But he knew as soon as he'd done that, it was time to leave. It was exit right stage. No,
move on now.
Yeah,
leave the scene. They dropped it. It was their fault. All them. Yeah. So, what's it been like after? Because it does always feel like there's a definite before Bake Off and after Bake Off.
Yeah, and a year ago today, I mean, I'm probably now with February. So I was in the throes of the auditioning process. So, but I was still, and I still am. I say normal. We'll use that word term loosely.
Not being recognized down the street.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me, and it's never bothered me. I still think it's odd. I mean, the whole recognition thing is you get 2 kinds of people. The ones who approach you who are great. They are so good, so kind, and I love stopping and talking with people. It's the ones that don't, but they recognize you, but they want that picture. So they photograph you incognito, and I think, okay, well, if you're going to do that, you need to put your phone on silent, because I heard that as you took a picture. And if you want a photo, just come and ask me. I'm more than happy to pose however many times you want.
Happy to pose. I can tell you you can get me when I'm not like,
Look at this one.
Yeah.
So
no, I think it's nothing has changed. I haven't changed. Obviously, everything else has. So, but it's not weird. It's not weird at all.
Well, the other thing that's probably changed a little bit is 47.5 thousand followers on Instagram. And by the way, your Instagram is insane. And in the most wonderful way possible.
It's weird, isn't it?
Some of the bakes on there are just absolutely spectacular.
Like your zombies versus plants bake.
Yeah, the plants versus zombies, that was really cool.
That was Louis. That was Louis' birthday cake. And the little bastard, I love him. He's my nephew. And somebody else said to him, Lulu, what would you like for your birthday cake? I don't know. What about Plants vs. Zombies? And I think I mouthed the words, fuck off.
Never again.
Yeah, and don't ever challenge me, because I will do it. I will do it. If it kills me, I'll do it. So that one was about 16 hours of work to get that, but it was well worth it.
Looks like it.
See, I'm quite lucky because I've got my niece addicted to Lego, so she's 6, and I got her into Wonder Woman as well, which is even better. So it's really easy, and now she's requesting I buy her Lego for her birthday. So we were building Lego yesterday together.
You didn't have to make a 16-hour cake.
No. She likes cupcakes. She was very excited at school to take cupcakes to school. And I think
so. You've just conditioned her for all the simple things in life.
Exactly. I'm like, Auntie Kristie can't bake cakes. If you want a cake from Auntie Kristie, I'll just go down to the local supermarket and buy the store.
And I can, but she doesn't like talking to me, so I don't have to make her anything. I'm not making a jack. So, well, this has been an absolutely fantastic chat, Stephen. It's been so
Thanks, guys.
on the show. We've been waiting for a while, so we're really thrilled to be able to have a bit of a chat. Anything you want to plug, feel free. Now is your chance.
Well, to Australia, if you don't know my channels already, it's Sponge Cake Square Tin is my Instagram, and Sponge Cake SQ Tin is my Twitter. So follow me. There's more to come. It's been a quiet start to the year. I'm going to be on British television next week on the news. I won't give you anything other than that.
Good news, I hope. You're not ducking behind the paper. Are you running down the street?
It's not my current program. Dodgy Baker.
Yeah, just Google my name from next week and you'll find out what people are looking for.
That's right. My one last question that I have, and I asked Jan this, I'll ask you the same question. The baking ashes. Now, if we got you to put together a team, we'll say 5 other bakers. They don't have to just be your series. You get 5 for your team for the British side of the ashes. Who are you picking and why is your first choice Sophie?
Who? Sophie? Oh, yes, Sophie. No, I'm joking. Oh, God, who would I pick? 5? And that includes me, right?
Yeah, includes you.
Okay, well, Jan for the scientist, because she's incredibly scientific. I mean, she's an absolute hoot. She's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so Jan, and then Andrew Smith from the previous year, because he's technical. He's the engineer. He does, and he
will make you a Ferris wheel.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I can make a handbag. He can literally make a moving structure. So
can make we need opens.
Yeah. He could probably build a Rolls-Royce jet engine out of shortbread.
He'll actually make you a bake-off tent.
The next car that gets pushed into space by
Andrew's made out of cake.
Yeah.
So Andrew, Jan, me.
Yep.
Can I bring Tom? Tom's my bestie. And you know what? He's actually an incredible baker.
Cake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You had to go hummingbird, didn't you?
You went there, didn't you? Tom is actually an incredible baker, and he's a lot braver than I am with use of flavour. So I think we need that. Plus one gay is never enough. So I think we need to.
You don't want to be the only gay in the village.
No. I 2 gays and a lesbian and an engine.
Exactly. You're just going to stack it.
Okay, so hang on. We need who else? One more. Oh, let me think. Oh, well, let's bring Liam. Come on.
Yeah.
We need his impish charm, don't we?
He'll just distract the ladies on the other side, you know.
Yeah. he's like what you see on camera. He's like it in real life. He's that animated.
Yeah. What?
I know how we're going to respond.
How?
We're going to put on a performance of The Lion King.
Why?
Because if you saw Celeste's Twitter, it took Liam to The Lion King,
Disney on Ice,
and Disney on Ice, and Liam cried.
Yes.
So we'll put a Disney on Ice performance of The Lion King on outside the shed, and we've just disarmed him. This is in where we've got this.
Hold on, are we supposed to be neutral? Are we setting this up? We can't.
I don't care.
We'll have to get someone from New Zealand in to help be bipartisan.
No, that's not going to work.
Oh, that's right.
That's not going to work. That'll be choice, bro. So
you can't bring New Zealand and all down there is lolly cake, and that can only get you
exactly. That'll be it, and we can't really do that. And then we'll have an argument over who created pavlova.
This sounds, bro. We cooked Piv, not you.
We'll have this argument about pavlova, and I can't be bothered doing it. In all honesty, I really can't. I can't be having it.
No, I just want to eat it.
This has been an absolute blast, Stephen. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Podcast. I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all a little bit later this week for another special episode. See you then.
Bye.